What if the ghosts we tell stories about aren't monsters, but are just lost? What if that final journey isn't a guaranteed trip, but one that can be interrupted, leaving a soul stranded between worlds? For thousands of years, cultures across the globe have wrestled with this idea, that the spirit can get stuck right here, tethered to the earthly plane. But how does that paranormal belief stack up against the official teaching of the world's great religions? The answer shows a fascinating split. Today we're exploring why a soul might linger, and how this ghostly limbo compares to the afterlife waiting rooms described in faiths from Christianity to Buddhism. First, let's talk about the modern idea of earthbound spirits. And to be clear, these ideas come from spiritualism, mediums, and paranormal investigators. Fields based on belief, not hard science. And according to these beliefs, the soul can get stuck, often without even knowing it's dead. And one of the most common reasons is a sudden or traumatic death. And someone in an accident might be so disoriented that their spirit just keeps going about its business. Another powerful anchor is intense unresolved emotion, a deep feeling of injustice or an overwhelming attachment to a person or place. And fear is another huge factor. Some spiritualist traditions say that certain souls fear judgment for the life that they led. And that fear of punishment can be so strong that they choose to stay in a familiar, lonely earthly existence. And finally, there's a theory of a residual haunting. This isn't a conscious spirit, but more like an energetic recording of a powerful event replaying on a loop. Now, let's shift from modern folklore to ancient theology. How do major religions explain that in-between state? Well, the most famous example in the West is the Catholic concept of purgatory. Purgatory is not hell's waiting room. According to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, it's a state of final purification for those who died in God's friendship but are still imperfectly purified. And think of it as a spiritual cleansing to achieve the holiness needed to enter heaven. And it's for souls who are already saved but need to be cleansed before entering God's presence. And this is a divinely guided process, not a soul accidentally getting stuck haunting its old apartment. Meanwhile, most Protestant denominations reject the idea of purgatory, arguing it's not supported by Scripture. They generally believe that upon death the soul goes directly to heaven or hell, with no need for an intermediate stop. This idea of a transitional state isn't just a Catholic one. Many world religions have their own versions. In Judaism, there's the concept of Gehenna. And unlike the Christian idea of an eternal hell, Gehenna is usually seen as a temporary place for purification. Most Jewish sources say the average soul spends up to 12 months there atoning for misdeeds before moving on. And in Islam, the time between death and the final day of judgment is Barzakh, and the word means barrier or separation. And after death, the soul enters the intermediate state. And for the righteous, Barzakh is a peaceful wait, but for the wicked, it's a period of torment. Eastern religions often tie this to the cycle of reincarnation. In Hinduism, a soul might enter a temporary ghost-like state if proper funeral rites aren't performed. There are also hellish realms known as Naraka, where souls go to work off negative karma. And crucially, this is a finite process of purification before the soul is reincarnated. And finally, Tibetan Buddhism offers a detailed map in the Bardo, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The Bardo is an intermediate state between death and rebirth that can last up to 49 days. And the soul's consciousness travels through different phases, meeting manifestations of its own karma, which will ultimately pull it towards the next life. Across all these beliefs, the idea of an intermediate state is a powerful one. Each tradition offers its own unique map of this unseen territory. What are the beliefs about the afterlife in your culture or family? Share your perspective in the comments below. We'd all love to hear them. So what's the real reason souls get trapped? Well, the answer truly depends on who you ask. Modern paranormal belief tells a story of confusion and attachment, describing lost souls tethered to our world by their own emotions. The major world religions present a much more structured picture. Whether it's called Purgatory, Gehenna, Barzakh, or the Bardo, these aren't accidental traps. They are divinely ordained otherworldly states for purification and transition. And in these views, the soul isn't wandering its old house. It's in a separate realm going through a specific process. The fundamental difference comes down to the location and purpose. Is the spirit a lost resident of Earth or a temporary citizen of another realm? While science remains silent, the human search for answers continues. These beliefs, whether literal truth or profound metaphors, all point to one conviction. The journey of the soul doesn't just end when the body gives out. It just gets more interesting. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for listening.